Hey everyone, today we're going to be completing Module 3, Unit 2, Lesson 5. This is a close read of the excerpt or of an excerpt of the Declaration of Independence. We are doing Part 1 today. So here are our learning targets. I can closely read and discuss an excerpt. I can closely read an excerpt of the Declaration of Independence to restate it in my own words. I can make connections between an excerpt of the Declaration of Independence and the opinions of characters and divided loyalties. And last, I can follow discussion norms to participate in a productive discussion about opinions of the characters and divided loyalties. So think about the word productive. Okay. And think about what productive means. What are some words that are synonyms? They have the same meanings. And what are some words that are antonyms? They have opposite meanings. Okay, so if you're in class, we're going to discuss this. If you're watching this independently, I want you to think about the answers to these questions. What happens in the United States on the 4th of July and why? And what connections have you made between what happens on that date and what we've been learning about? Think about the answers to those questions. We celebrate the 4th of July, right? Because on July 4th, 1776, we celebrate our freedom as a nation from Great Britain and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And those are all the things we've been learning about in Units 1 and 2 so far of Module 3. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is open our module workbooks to page 60. And we're going to read this excerpt of the excerpt Part 1 of the Declaration of Independence, okay? So module workbook, page 60, it says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that wherever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government." So in class at this point, we're going to read it twice, okay? So we're going to read that 2 times, and we're going to kind of just quick talk about it, what you think it means, okay? Then we're going to move on to page 25 of Divided Loyalties. So if you'll open to 25 of Divided Loyalties, and we're just going to read a little bit at the beginning because we read this scene in Act yesterday. So in the beginning, we know that they're in the Barton's house in New Jersey in Burlington in 1776. And it says, the narrator is saying, "Tensions are running high in the Boston household. Mary and Robert continue to support the British crown while William hopes the family will see the Patriot side. On July 4th, 1776, the colonies declared independence from Britain." So look at that part. On July 4th, 1776, the colonies declared independence from Britain. What does that mean? What does it mean to declare independence? What did the colonies do? Right. So to declare independence means to say that you are separate and you can make decisions for yourself. Okay. So the colonies, they separated officially from Great Britain at this point, and they said we can govern ourselves. We do not need you to govern us anymore. We're over it, right? Done with it. Okay. So we're going to look at this again, page 60 of your module workbook, and we're going to use that to answer the questions on page 61, numbers 1 through 3. Okay. So let's break it apart. This is our close read. So first, look at this piece. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." So how could we say that in our own words? And what symbol might we use to help us remember it? Okay, so let's fill that question in, okay? All right, so I'm gonna pause and type my answer. I want you to pause and write your answer and then come back and check and see if yours makes sense compared to mine when you're done. Okay, so looking at this, you might have said something like, "We believe that all people are created equal, that they're given rights by whatever they believe in or don't, including life, liberty, and the chance to, or I guess freedom instead of liberty, and the chance to seek happiness that can't be taken away." And then what symbol might we use to help remember it? Well, maybe a happy face or a row of stick people. Okay. All right. So look at this next piece. This is number 2. Okay. So to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So how would we say that in our own words? Think about that for a second, and I want you to write in your answer on number 2 on page 61. Okay, so for this one, I wrote, and maybe you have something similar, that governments protect these rights, and the fairness of the government comes from agreement of its people. What symbol might you use to help you remember this? Maybe you remember people smiling and shaking hands. Okay, and then look at number 3, that whatever form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. How could we say that in our own words? I want you to write down what you think and what symbol you might use to help you remember it. Okay, so with this section, you might say that in your own words, you might say, when the government tries to destroy or take away the rights of people, the people have the right to change it or to get rid of it and put a new one in place. So a symbol that you maybe could use here is maybe just cross out the word government with an X and then write it over again, symbolizing a new government. Okay. All right. So let's continue. So in class, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip over to page 62 of our module workbooks. And together we're going to be getting in breakout rooms and discussing either Robert or William and thinking about how Robert or William would feel based on this declaration or this excerpt from the declaration that we read on page 60. Okay. So since you're doing this independently, I want you to choose Robert or William, and I want you to complete page 62 using one of the two gentlemen from this book. Okay. So in the left-hand column, you need to complete, let me actually pull it up so you can see it. In the left-hand column, you need to, fill in his name here, either Robert or William. Tell me what you think he would think of this excerpt. Would he agree with it? Why or why not? And I want you to give proof from Act 1 or Act 2, Scene 1 that we read yesterday. So anything basically through page 29, okay, or through mid 29, and fill in those examples there. And then when you're done, then you should be good to go, because in class we're going to discuss this, but since you missed class today, you will just have to work on it, finishing it independently. Okay. So again, like I said, we're going to discuss that in the classroom, and then we're going to fill in the middle box on page 63, which you can still do. What did you learn from that close read of the declaration, and thinking about how your character would have felt about it? So you can fill that in the box on page 63. And in class, we're going to discuss, and then we're going to check in on our learning targets, given thumbs up or thumbs down for them. I can closely read an excerpt of the Declaration of Independence to restate it. I can make connections between the excerpt and the opinions of characters and divided loyalties, and I can follow discussion norms and participate in a productive discussion. That is it for the day. Thank you very much, friends.